The Washington Commanders held their first preseason game here in Foxborough, Massachusetts against the New England Patriots, and folks, it wasn't good. 48-14 later, and the Washington Commanders walk out of this building looking like they're a team that has a lot of work to do. Naturally, a lot of the starters didn't play tonight, so you can't get too upset about that because a lot of the youngsters that were on the field tonight may not even be on the roster. But at the end of the day, we spoke with Dan Quinn after the game, and you can tell he was upset. So, Coach, since you've been here, you guys have placed a high, importance on special teams.
Yes,
so absolutely. To start the game with the 100-yard kickoff return, and then Matt missed the field goal.
Yeah.
What would you say about your special teams
tonight?
It
stung for us tonight because we have really, really high standards in that. So not just the returns, we have fouls on that, and that's one of the phases that we really emphasize. And Larry is right in the front of all that, man. Like, it's impressive. And so to have a performance where it didn't go our way, it can be confusing, surprising, all those emotions, because none of us would have saw that coming. And I like that we've tried to feature different guys. There's high standards that we want to do it. So let's get to it. But I was surprised and confused, like we all are, because that's one that we really count on and lean in hard on, and we will. But that was not indicative of who we want to be on teams for sure.
All right, back here in Foxborough, Massachusetts, as the Washington Commanders lose their preseason opener. Well, now I'm bringing in two people that really need no introduction. If you know this team, they do a wonderful job, and I'm talking about my little sis, Miss Candi from Bowie Television, and then Auntie over here, Donna Hopkins from Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. This was a bad effort tonight, folks, and there's no way that we can try to make this sound better than what it was. Maybe some individual efforts were good, but overall, this was a porous effort. So, Donna, what did you see out there?
Yeah, I think it's like Coach said when we talked to him after the game was over. He said it was just sloppy. And I think that sums it up. One word that sums up this whole game from the beginning to the end is that it was just sloppy play. And that's not their standards as far as this team, whether it was the first team in, which they were not, but it was a lot of the starters that had came in and out, that it was just sloppy. Josh Johnson looked like he was ready to cry because, you could tell that he was disappointed with the effort overall, but it wasn't good at all. They've got a lot of work to do.
Okay. Candi?
Yeah, I mean, we know that this team has a very high standards set for themselves. I mean, Coach Quinn talked to us about that as well. And you can see it not just from the players that played tonight, but also from the veteran players that did not play tonight. Mm-hmm. You can see the disappointment in their faces. And I know a lot of people may say this is just the preseason, but this is where you actually see if those standards and the things that you're learning are setting in. It was 13 penalties, 15 penalties, who knows? It was 15. A lot of penalties.
Yeah.
That means exceeding over 90 yards given up. That shows lack of focus, lack of discipline. And we know that this organization does not do lack of focus and lack of discipline.
Well, we did speak with a young guy that had a pretty effective night, and that was Bill Croskey-Merritt. A lot of fans are excited about him. Dan Quinn said that he saw some good things in his performance, and this is what he had to say to us in the locker room. So Coach Quinn, gave you a compliment, said he thought you did well. Are you being hard on yourself right now? Do you feel like you in your first preseason game, your first NFL game, you did okay?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna always be hard on myself. And I just don't want to play football. I want to be the best at what I do. So that's why I'm always kind of hard on myself, and I'm just ready to go back and look at film and correct those things moving forward.
Did you feel like it was a little different from the joint practice at all, or was it a little bit of a carryover?
It was kind of the same. We just wasn't going down. We was still competing on both sides, but it was definitely different.
So as you can tell, the young guy felt pretty good about his night. He said that there were a lot of things that he can do better. All three of us know that this team can do a lot of things better, and they're going to have a lot of time to get prepared for the Cincinnati Bengals. Monday Night Football will be coming up in Washington. And when you look ahead, I asked Coach Quinn tonight, right afterwards, if the starters were in there, maybe this doesn't look that way, but this is a chance for the young guys to prove that they belong in the NFL. And his response was pretty telltale. This is what he had to say.
Coach, when you have a performance like this, does it kind of make you look ahead and think, okay, obviously if the starter's in there, things may click a little better? Or is it just, hey, the young guys have to fight through this? That's why they're in the NFL.
Yeah, definitely the second. We have really high standards about how we want to do things and how we want to get down. And when you miss them, man, you talk it, you drill it, you discuss it. Like, we're gonna have some, we're gonna watch it all, every bit of it. And we also did the same thing when we liked the plays from the practice. So it all counts. Everything does. And that's no surprise to any of the players or any of the coaches. And when you miss it, you acknowledge it and say it and talk it and say, all right, this can't happen. And I'm not one that looks the other way or, hey, let's move on to the next. That's not how I get down. So, like, there's a lesson and I'm going to learn them. And if it's for this player on this moment in this situation, it's important. And so I'm the one that has to keep the standard, and we miss it. I missed it. And so as much as there's some things I liked from the practice, there's some things that I really disliked from tonight's performance. But you know what? It all counts, and it's all part of it. Adam and I have got plenty of tape to go watch, and we've got a nice little stretch here in between this game and our next one, and I expect some of that sloppiness to get going. Get your ass kicked, and we're in the fight the whole time, and I can live with that. Ones that I don't are like, man, when we didn't play to the style, the attitude, the penalties, those are the ones like I can almost live with any result when you put it all in, do it right. But when it's sloppy and not to the standards, that burns my ass.
So naturally, Candi, you can tell he doesn't care who's on the field. They have to perform. So with the Bengals coming up, I think we're hearing you said that you think that the starters are going to play?
Yes, more than likely the starters will play Monday Night Football against the Bengals. It may be a quarter, it may be a half, but we will see the starters play. That is actually a trend we're seeing across the league, right? We're seeing, I think Joe Burrow, speaking of the Bengals, played a bit in their first preseason game. I think the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, will play at least one quarter. So this team is going to do the same. Again, don't know if it's going to be a half or a quarter, but more than likely the starters will play in Game 2, Monday Night Football against the Bengals.
Well, Donna, I think it's needed. I mean, I think to a lot of fans right now, they're probably sick to their stomach for what they witnessed tonight. And folks, it's preseason, so don't take this too hard, But with that said, you want to see some sustainable things happen out there. Josh Johnson told you, hey, there were some things that were done well, but not well enough.
Hey, fans, take it serious. Even with the second, third string people in, because all three phases did not play well, and that's what Coach Quinn talked about. All three, and disappointed even more so in the special teams because the starting of the game, you let them go 100 yards for a touchdown back. It was so many breakdowns in this game across the board, and I asked Coach Quinn about the quarterback play between Hartman and Johnson, which was not good, and them being able to connect to the wide receivers, which it was not there. A little bit of the running game, and Jeremy McNichols came in, and Coach Quinn said his game is already elevated, and you saw the veteran in there, his running abilities. But like you said, Merritt played well, but overall, this team was not clicking on any cylinders from the beginning to the end. And we haven't even talked about the defensive side of the ball, because the defensive side of the ball could not stop the run. They could not stop the pass, no matter what quarterback was in there. So it's so many things to clean up. And we got to remember, even with the starters, they've got to have some backup players. And these are some of those backup players. And this team as a whole, and you can just see it on Coach Quinn's face, that he was quite upset about this game.
Yeah, and Candi, the thing is that it seemed like there was some carryover from what we saw on Wednesday with all three of us being here, for the joint practice as well. I remember you telling me out on that field, are they trying, because it just seemed like the defense was not able to do much, and it carried over into this game.
Yeah, it just seemed like the sense of urgency was not there.
Yeah.
Right? This is a game scenario. On Wednesday, this is another team. This isn't your teammates.
Yeah.
And I know that was one of the questions that Trey Amos answered for you, right, Donna, on Wednesday, where he said the first play was at him, and he had to understand the different speeds of the game and having to, come out fast and having to, speed up. You saw that tonight. And then from the first play, 100 yards. That is not Commanders football.
Yeah.
Not this Commanders.
No.
It's not at all. It just, the rest of the game just looked like that. And that is not what we are even accustomed to seeing. And I think Coach Quinn kind of alluded to that. Like, you all know how I get down, how we get down. And this was not defining at all of the organization that they want to be, the team they want to be. And this is the second year of them in this system. That's why it's even so much more confusing. How is this coaching staff, why is this the first product out of the gate that everybody gets to see?
I can tell you this. If I'm Terry McLaurin, I'm probably just sitting back and watching, because Chris Moore had a lot of drops, had a big drop on the first drive. It would have been a first down, had a drop later on. And you're not trying to pile on players, but this is the NFL. And if you heard it from Coach Quinn, it doesn't matter if it's a starter or if it's a guy trying to make the roster. There's an expectation that you have to meet. Tonight, unfortunately, folks, this team did not meet that expectation. Again, it's the first preseason game. You'll see the starters next week, where I'm sure you'll see a little bit more continuity. But for the most part, this is a team that we're going to watch when we get back to Washington. Thank God for all of us, because we've been here all week here in Massachusetts. But when we get back to the area and watch these guys in practice, because guess what? There's no days off. I mean, we're going to be right back at it on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, practices in later in the day in the heat. So it's getting ready to get real, because I can tell you right now, this coaching staff and the veterans, Candi, the veterans came off the field. None of them were dressed, but you can tell that they were upset. And knowing these guys the way we all do, the three of us do, I'm almost certain that they felt like they let down the young guys, because the young guys did not look prepared tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I may have shared with you all, there was one part during the game after a defensive series where I saw Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu with the tablets, and they were with young linebackers Dominique Hampton and Cam Arnold. They were talking to them extensively after that. You know, Coach Norton is coaching the game, but they were talking, they were collaborating, so you could tell, and that was happening across the team. That was just one example, but yeah, you could see the veterans weren't happy, and it wasn't so much, it's exactly what you said, like, it's not so much of them being mad at the rookies, it's, are we setting the right standard?
Yeah.
Because again, this was not this Washington Commanders team brand of football at all.
Right. You can tell tonight, although it was a preseason game, that team that we saw in Burgundy and Gold looked nothing like a Super Bowl contender. And obviously we understand starters didn't play. They'll play next week, and we'll have more information. And as always, folks, if you can, make sure you check out Auntie. Make sure you check out Little Sis, because they do wonderful work covering this football team. So not the effort that was wanted in the first preseason game here in Foxborough, Massachusetts, but there's still plenty ahead, as next week the Washington Commanders will get back to practice and get ready for their next preseason game. So here in Massachusetts, for CBS 6 Sports, I'm NFL insider Lake Lewis Jr.